Mark McDermott, a 54-year-old stepfather, gunned down, by her own admission, at the hands of his wife, Johanna.
Okay. And you shot him in the side?
No, in the head.
In the head?
By all accounts, Mark was a loving husband to Johanna and generous father to her son, Donald.
But he was always handed a lot of stuff through Mark. A nice car, nice clothing, trips around the world. He was pretty much given anything that he wanted.
Captain James Bear is called in to question Johanna and Donald. Both are placed in separate interrogation rooms.
He initially told me he conveyed the same story to me that he had to everyone else. Basically that he was taking a shower and his mother shot his father.
But when he speaks with Johanna, she drops a bombshell.
At some point she switched from I shot him to Donald had shot him.
Captain Bear also notices something odd about Donald.
He was just plain as could be. He never was emotional. He was never upset. He never was angry. He was just pretty much flat the entire time.
Bear hammers Donald with Johanna's story.
But he was surprisingly easy to break as far as his confession goes, because I confronted him with what I knew and what my suspicions were, and he pretty much just broke at that.
Donald confesses to killing his stepfather, but the how and why will blow your mind. It turns out Donald had flunked out of college years earlier, although he continued to produce phony report cards and tell everyone, including his fiancée, that he was still a student.
He had been living a lie for about 2 years, pretending to be a college student.
So on the day of his graduation, Donald knew he was about to be exposed.
He said that he'd been planning this at least since spring break, that he knew that eventually that he was going to have to graduate. So he had known for a couple months that he was going to have to do this.
He was going to the gun range and he was target practicing with multiple friends, trying to learn more about guns, which he was never really into in high school.
So he had taken that gun from his mother's drawer, it was his mother's gun, and had it with him during the time he was home preparing for graduation.
It's just senseless to kill someone to cover up for a lie. To me, it's just incredibly selfish.
But it gets even crazier.
It was supposed to be a murder-suicide.
But it wasn't a typical murder-suicide. Far from it. When Johanna came home from running an errand that day, Donald had already shot Mark twice in the head. But his plan was only half complete.
When she came in, he said, "Mom, I have something for you." She thought it was a present or something for him graduating. So he sat her down on the bench, and that's where he said, "I want you to close your eyes. I've got something for you." And that's when he took the gun, pressed it up against her head, and pulled the trigger. She heard a click. She opened her eyes, realized there was a gun. The gun actually failed to function because on a semi-automatic, if you push the slide enough out of battery, it won't function properly, which is what saved her life.
Shocked, his mother manages to knock the gun away. According to what Johanna told police, he said, "Just hold still and it will be over with." And Johanna's suicide note? Donald had typed it out to justify a murder-suicide by his mother against Mark.
His reasoning behind all this was that he thought it'd be easier for him to just kill his parents as opposed to telling them the truth because he didn't want to disappoint them.
Acting quickly, Johanna convinced Donald that she could take the rap for the murder, stating, quote, "I said, how about if I say I shot him?" He finally agreed, which led to this 911 call. Listening now, you can hear the terror in Johanna's voice.
And you guys were just fighting?
Yes. It's supposed to be a birthday. It's graduation.
Is it your son's graduation? Okay. Is your son okay?
Is the police coming too?
Yes.
During her interrogation, Johanna said, quote, "One of us needs to be locked up because he will try to kill me again."
I was in complete shock. Because, being that close to him throughout the years, I never saw it coming.
And there was this moment when the dispatcher asked to speak to Donald.
Okay, can I talk to your son?
Can you talk to the lady?
Hello?
Sir, this is the 911 dispatcher.
Okay.
Okay, can you check and see if, I asked her if she wanted to do CPR. I can help her with it if somebody needs help.
He's not breathing.
Okay. Do you want to attempt to do CPR?
I don't know. He's not breathing, and I don't know.
I mean, he just had no emotion, no care. It was all about him and only him, and he could care less about anything else. He even had a game plan for how he was going to react and his plan for the future after, if he was able to pull this off. His game plan was he was going to ride the swell of emotion that he got and the sympathy that he got from people to try to get him through financially or whatever he could get for quite some time. Then he planned on getting fit, as he put it, and he said he had planned on going into law enforcement, actually.
In fact, during his confession, Donald told police that after he shot Mark, he, quote, expected to be physically ill, or, at least worried. It's not there. Mark McDermott's family in Australia is understandably devastated.
Still to this day, I'll never make sense of it because it's just a heartless monster that was born into my brother.
I think he's in the right place and he's going to be there for the rest of his life. Not going to bring Mark back.
Donald has never expressed remorse for his actions and even told Captain Bear he would do it all again.
I asked him, why didn't you just come clean with your parents and tell them the truth about it? He just completely said that he thought it would be easier just to kill them as opposed to tell them the truth.
Donald Dunn was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. Surprising to many, his mother Johanna, who declined our interview, continues to maintain a relationship with her son, even though he was one click away from taking her life. Dunn appealed his conviction and sentence all the way up to the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals. However, the High Court upheld the decision. He'll now spend the rest of his life behind bars. I'm Chris Hansen. If you like this story, make sure you tune in every day to Crime Watch Daily. You can find where the show airs in your city at crimewatchdaily.com. Watch it live or record it on your DVR and watch it at night. And to all those criminals out there, remember, we are watching.